Hey, and welcome to Time Out for Trade. I'm Macy Opolinski, and on this episode, we're going to be diving into all things warehouse with Matthew Parrott, Deringer's Director of Distribution, and Chris Castor, a sales associate, also here at Deringer. Welcome on, Matt and Chris. I'll go ahead and leave it to you two to give our audience a rundown on warehousing, especially in today's tariff climate.
All right. Thanks a lot, Macy. Appreciate you. How you doing today, Chris?
I'm well, Matt. How you doing?
I'm doing just great. I think that
Cool.
you had a few questions you wanted to ask me about warehousing.
Yeah, I do. I do. So a lot of times, Matt, when we first start talking to clients, they kind of explore the option of doing it in-house as opposed to coming to us or a 3PL to kind of run their distribution and warehousing. And I'm wondering if you may share some of the advantages of going with a 3PL instead of trying to take on the onus of doing it yourself.
Yeah, that's a great question, Chris. And a lot of clients do talk to us about that. So when we look at that and we see what a client's doing today, however they're running their supply chain and they're looking to see if they can get their goods closer to their customers, usually is when they want to use us. If they want to be geographically in different parts of the country, because we have distribution centers in several parts, in fact, where we break up the country in 4 different quarters so that you can get your goods to market quicker. A lot of customers only have one distribution center, so they're trying to distribute their goods throughout the entirety of North America. We can put their goods in several different locations and get the goods to their market in a quicker fashion. So we have Atlanta, we have Los Angeles, we have the Pacific Northwest and Blaine, and we have locations in New York to service New England. So if that works for customers, they can split up the country in fours, or they can just distribute the way they are if that's better for them, depending on where their clients are.
Awesome. And really, the two big models we mostly see are B2B and B2C, meaning business to consumer or business to business. Can you tell me some of the challenges that we face with both of those models?
Yeah, so I don't think it's any secret that e-commerce blew up over the last 10 years, and it's really been an evolving marketplace, especially with the Section 321 limit going up to $800 and then ending on August 29th. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But the number of small parcels going directly to the consumer, so the B2C stuff went through the roof over the last several years. If it was 100 million packages in 2015, last year was probably 4 billion packages that went directly from anywhere in the world directly to someone's door. So that revolution has really, really changed the marketplace. And the Alibabas and the Amazons of the world started doing that. But if you really think about it, when you're doing business with Walmart, historically, you would distribute your goods, send them to somebody like Walmart. They'd go to a distribution center and they would go all over the place through Walmart's distribution chain. However, now if you're going to do business with Walmart, you also do that, but you also sell to Walmart.com where you're sending directly to, Joe Smith in the United States. So you really need to be prepared to do both, because if you're going to sell to those stores like that, like Walmart or Target or any of them, they have both of those two different supply chains.
So another thing, Matt, when we start seeing a client, when we onboard a client that's looking to do business with us on warehousing and distribution, one of the first things that we go over with them is how do we receive the orders? How do we process the orders? If it is going either to B2B or B2C, what's the best way, or what are some different ways that we can receive and process orders through our warehouses?
Yeah, that is another great question. It's really important, Chris, nowadays. We really want to have everything be electronic. Now, we try to be as flexible as we possibly can with our clients. We do still take some manual orders, but I really don't like manual orders because manual means mistake. We're all human beings. We're not computers, and we will make mistakes if we do things manually. Our standard way to receive orders is a 940 and a 945, which is EDI talk. And I'll remind you, Chris, which you already know, that I am not a technical person. I'm
Me
an
neither, my friend.
operator,
Me neither.
but I know enough to be dangerous. So that is our standard EDI spec that we ask our clients to conform to. Now, that's not what we make them do. We do everything from, again, I said manual, to where we have a flat file that we can upload. That's a CSV flat file, and we upload orders that way, and everything in between those two things. So we try to be as flexible as we possibly can with our clients. But the more labor that they can drive out of our processes, the better price that we can give them. So if they can really be highly efficient, highly electronic, generally we can give them a better rate. And it also is critically important when you're dealing with the big box stores, because the clients are sending us information, but we're also sending them back information that they need to share with their clients generally.
You mentioned a little while back about Section 321 coming to an end. We've seen a lot of incoming calls with customers that have been utilizing 321 type entries for years that kind of have to change their model. How can they utilize our warehouses to keep on shipping to their customers?
So I think that there's a couple different things that they can think about doing here. They can either, give us a call if they're already doing business with us and put stock in our warehouse. So we can, pick and ship those smaller orders to the clients directly. We're doing that every day. A lot of our clients who are taking advantage of the 321 have already upped their stock with us, and we're going to start doing that already. If they don't currently have stock with us and they're somewhere, say in Montreal or Toronto or somewhere like that, we could cross dock their freight and they can do consolidation. So they could bundle up several orders like they probably were doing with their Section 321. So they can do one consolidated entry, bring it to the border, do one clearance, and we can distribute that and cross dock that through our warehouse facilities. Now that is how things used to be done several years ago. We used to do a lot of that business, but it really changed with the value going up to $800, because it used to be $200, and there's four times that is obviously makes a lot of different types of goods eligible for that, and it went through the roof, and saved customers a lot of money and also consumers a lot of money because it's about taking.
So Matt, along those same lines, how can a non-resident importer utilize our warehouses as an FOB point for big retail stores?
Chris, we get that question a lot because there's the US is obviously a massive consumer, right? And we have a lot of box stores. I mentioned Walmart earlier, but you're looking at Target, you're looking at Sam's, you're looking at Costco and several other large box stores like that. And they want to either have goods delivered duty paid to them, or they want to pick up at a point in the United States. Generally, they won't cross even to Canada, and they do not generally want to buy, from you overseas. So there's a couple different ways that we can help customers out with that. Now, if they're just cross-docking stuff, coming down to us from Canada, we would, pick it up, bring it to our warehouses, make the goods available. The client would do all the labeling under that set of circumstances. So they would make sure that all the boxes are labeled properly and ready for pickup, and probably route the goods with the proper carrier for the box store. Also, the customers could either send containers directly into us. We would strip those containers, put them into stock, and then label them all correctly for the particular box store that they're going to, which is, sure, we're going to get into this a little bit later, but is quite complex. So generally a buyer like Walmart or Target wants to buy domestically in the United States, and they will be generally willing to pick the goods up at an FOB point in the United States. If you don't have that, they generally ask you to deliver the goods to their door, which could get extremely costly for our Canadian friends or even our overseas friends.
Sure. So a lot of what we're talking about, as you and I know, is contained in a routing guide that the big box stores give their vendors. And you and I have onboarded quite a few customers together where we tell them it is so important to understand the routing guide, not only for us, but for our customers as well. Can you kind of explain some of the requirements that the big box stores typically have?
Yes, that's a really good point, Chris, because the routing guides are intentionally complex and confusing. And I wouldn't say that it's this way anymore, but they used to be used as a revenue source for the box stores. Some of those companies that did that are no longer in business or got bought out. But really, the Walmarts and the Targets, the Costcos of the world want you to follow their rules and instructions, because think of how much freight they have coming in, right? They have freight coming in from literally hundreds of thousands of sellers, and they're trying to get it to all of their stores all over the United States. They have to have a pretty strict guideline in place to be able to distribute the goods. Now, having said that, their guidelines are pretty strict. All of them have what is called the UCC 128 label, which is a formatted label, has to go on the box that identifies what's in the box, where it's supposed to go, and a whole bunch of other information that is generally given to you by the box store. So that's going to be stuff that when we're talking about EDI earlier, that's some of the information that's really critical that we get that to be able to create that label. So all of that's going to be labeled. We're going to get all of those orders in. We're going to pick those orders. We're going to send all the information back to you that says it's ready. And then you, as if you were the importer, the person selling to Walmart, would then send an ASN, an advanced shipping notice, back to them when we ship the goods. If you don't do that advanced shipping notice, it's usually about a 25% of your invoice value fine. So if you're doing a rollout, say, 30, 40 stores, and it's a really big order and you don't do the ASNs right, that's really going to cut into your profit margin. So the routing guides are usually about this thick, quite complex. They have a whole bunch of information. If the cargo is 1 pound to 50 pounds, ship it this way. If it's over 50 pounds, ship it this way. If it's going to this part of the country, use this carrier. If it's going to that part of the country, use that carrier. It's critically important that you talk to your buyer as the seller of the goods and make sure that you're on board with what they want, because we have a lot of experience with that, but there's always nuances, differences, and what is in your contract and your purchase order agreement with those stores that could be slightly different. It's really important you know that. Could be that they're telling you, yes, we're going to buy this. Yes, you have to do the UCC 128 labels, but we want you to put it on a point of purchase skid, and it has to be exactly like this to these specs. And if you don't do that, you get a dreaded word of a chargeback. If you don't do any of these things right, you get a chargeback. So they're really, really complex, and we can help advise, but it's critically important that the seller of the goods understands the responsibilities that they agreed to in the purchase order agreement that they know.
Perfect. Matt, I think that answers all of my questions today.
Okay, great. Hopefully this was helpful for the people who are going to watch this. And, with the 321 going away, I think we can really help people still save money. I know the duty is going to be there, but I think there's different ways we can look at to help people move their goods more efficiently.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Matt.
All right. Thanks, Chris. Macy, we'll kick it back to you.
Thanks, guys. And thank you for making the time this afternoon and giving us all that great insight. Thanks to our audience for listening in. And if you're in the mood for more Deringer content, be sure to visit our website at anderinger.com, where we regularly post resources and market updates. And of course, you can find us on LinkedIn, X, and Facebook. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.